Hello, and welcome back to another episode of We Bought a Mic, a podcast about the best television shows of the year 2024. Welcome. It's Listomania. We're counting down our top 10s. It's the final entry in our mega pod extravaganza. It's how we kick off the new year. Happy 2025. Welcome. My name's Ernest.
I can't wait to get started on this 10 episode by episode breakdown of Dr. Odyssey. My name is Hunter. Is there 10 episodes? That was just a guess. It could be 10. It could be 24. I think it is 10. Really? Okay, cool. It's my number
4. Still currently doing the math on how many different slots I could put like Jeopardy in.
Pop culture Jeopardy? Colin Jost?
Haven't even watched it yet. I took, me and friend of the pod, Colin, took the test to get on there. So did Hunter, I want to say. Right, yeah. Hunter?
You didn't make the cut.
It was so close, too.
They don't even, shut up. They don't even tell you the results, because then you could like give, cheat.
So you probably did too good.
Yeah. They said no podcasters. It's not fair.
Yeah.
And joining us today is a very special returning guest. We're starting a tradition for the second year in a row. Welcome, Dane. How you doing?
Hi, I'm Dane, and my special interest is television.
Good.
I'm doing good.
And that's why we like you.
Yeah.
And Dane, that's why we asked you here today, so that you can contribute 6 TV shows to Drew's top 10 TV of the year to make a complete list.
Yeah, famously, this started last year.
Yeah, this started last year because I said we need to call in a designated hitter. I can't do this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you had no idea that you had 2024 coming around the corner, which to say it's thin on the TV side might be putting it a little bit lightly.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I was like looking at my list of every show that I had watched in 2024. And so like normally the new seasons are like 50, 60. And this year I was like scraping by just under 30. Yeah.
That's still numbers, Dane.
It is still numbers. Yes. You're not wrong about that.
I watched 30 shows as well. The crop was very, very rough this year. My top 10 from those 30 could have been any number, a bunch of different permutations. There are a lot of like consensus big shows that are dominating other people's lists and the award shows, things like Shogun, Hacks, that kind of thing. We'll probably talk about some of those in this episode, but I kind of struggled to put my list together this year. And, something that I've been talking about in these Listomanias is my year with cancer, with chemo. Watching TV was a big part of like being debilitated in bed with nothing to do. But honestly, I didn't watch a lot of new shows. Really, what I spent my time doing was rewatching Lost. I watched like every episode of all 6 seasons of Lost, and I watched like 3 full seasons of Survivor. That's mostly what I spent my time doing in 2024. And I have a list that I feel pretty good about, and a solid honorable mentions as well. But yeah, is it safe to say it was a rough year for TV? Like, I feel like last year, or I should say in 2023, the theme was like the TV bubble, the peak TV bubble, like popped or deflated or however we put it. And this year it's just like, what's left? Like, what are the scraps?
I mean, last year, I didn't think last year was particularly bad or anything, but we do, like you said, the streaming bubble popping and whatever. But this year, compounded with that, we also had the writers and the actors strikes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big
we're
impact.
Like really feeling that impact this year for TV.
Absolutely. Yeah,
it's one of those things where I look at my list from last year and I'm like, man, how high would those shows be on my list this year? Whenever I just kind of think about how thin I found. This was the least amount of new TV that I've seen in several years.
And yet somehow Dane watched 30 shows, and I asked him if he had seen Day of the Jackal, and he was like, "What the fuck is that?"
Well, Peacock shows don't exist, Drew. Come on, we know this.
People are talking about the Day of the Jackal. They're saying the Jackal should almost have a whole month.
The month of the Jackal.
Yeah, not only, Drew, have I watched 30 new shows this year, I watched every single Dragon Ball Z property, and I still didn't have time for Day of the Jackal.
Wow.
Dane, now, you have watched all of Landman like 6 times. Now,
yeah. Landman is my new favorite.
Good.
I just watched it.
Did you watch Landman?
No, I didn't.
No, Dane, he did not know what Landman was until I brought it up.
Are you serious?
A few minutes ago.
Dude, I am legitimately sad that I have not watched Landman. I'm sad that I can't contribute.
In
Landman
Trump's
to this
America,
podcast.
how dare you not watch
Here's
Landman?
the thing. I have never had so many people of all varying ages and backgrounds come up to me and be like, "Hey, man, have you seen the newest episode of Landman?" Like, it feels like I'm in like Breaking Bad times.
All ages. I'm imagining like a 4-year-old like tugging on your shirt.
Landman.
I have been asked if I'm watching Landman by both somebody in like their late teens, early 20s, and also somebody who is in their 60s at like a baby shower. We're just like, man, that new episode of Landman. Are you kidding me right now? Best show on TV. My mom and Bart are like watching Landman. My dad and my stepmom, Lisa, are watching Landman. Like, it's bringing people from all walks of life who do not watch TV together to watch Landman.
And it's not on your list.
We have to.
And we wonder why the election went the way it did. It is a Taylor Sheridan show. People fucking love Taylor Sheridan. I watched the first episode of Landman. It was an absolute pile of garbage. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. It is a travesty that exists and it's as popular as it is.
Okay.
So any other thoughts on the year in TV? Themes with your lists? Anything else you guys want to say before we get into the list?
Themes of my list, they're mostly all adaptations of other works.
Okay.
And it's mostly things that make me smile.
Good.
Not necessarily are good.
As it should.
Dane, I think I have the same. I think I could say the same thing. I think that looking at my list, not including a couple of things that I don't really know where to fit them. I think I have one new season of like traditional TV that is not adapted from something else. Like it's a lot of reimagining of like different ideas. And like, I didn't know that this was where we were going to take this story, but it's so crazy because if we go back to like 2, 3, 4 years ago, when movies felt like they were in a really bleak spot. Shoot, you can go back 10 years ago. Movies were just like, we got to just trudge out these Marvel movies and all of these like properties that people want to come out and see. And if you want to make an original story, you go to television. Well, those original stories gets a lot of them do, like stuff like The Bear gets put up on this pedestal and it becomes kind of something outside of itself. And that is cool whenever that happens. But otherwise, you get your Rings of Power. You get your, I'm trying to think of like another example, your House of the Dragon, your Fallout, like of varying degrees. I'm not saying anything good or bad about those shows, but that is where IP is going now, is to TV like it has never done before.
Yeah. Landman : Endgame. Coming soon.
Exactly.
They're skipping straight to
when
Endgame.
Kevin Costner comes out of a portal in Landman, an oil portal, you guys are going to be fucking sorry.
Drew, do you have a list? Should I put you in my spreadsheet? Are you going to be sharing some picks? Are you just a chaos agent today?
I worked really hard on a list today, and I got to 9 TV shows that I watched, 3 good shows, and then I started writing down like TikTok accounts.
Okay. So number 10 is a TikTok account.
Yeah.
What's the best TikTok account of 2024?
No, I couldn't order those. I wrote some podcasts that I listened to a lot. I wrote a couple comedy specials. What's the best comedy special of the year? Well, the first one I wrote down happened. I looked up a couple hours ago because I was like, wait a minute, and it's from 2023, as it turns out. So,
which one? What was it?
Hell by Chris Fleming.
Oh, I haven't heard about this. No.
Drew's got to check Chris Fleming fan.
I fucking love this guy. He's such an insane fucking weirdo. it gives kind of
What's the listener count?
On this is a visual. Well, it's on Peacock, so if that tells you anything.
So like 12.
It may or may not exist. Chris Fleming has a lot of like visual, like aesthetic similarities to like Sarah Squirm, and this special utilizes a lot of that. There are like little like there's use of like puppetry and like cartoon type shit. Really, really interesting. He goes big on TikTok every now and then because he has like insane manic energy on stage in the way that you would find some like a coked out comedian in like the 80s, you know, like fucking like Kinnison or whatever the fuck, just dudes who scream. My favorite thing about him is that he doesn't pull punches and he talks a lot of shit about people like within the industry, which no one in their right mind would ever do. And I don't think this was even in the special, but he has such an incredible run about Colin Jost that went big on TikTok, and it's one of my favorite bits of stand-up I've seen in years, and just the sheer audacity to do that when like he's friends with people who are like on SNL, you know what I mean? Like Colin Jost is probably one of the more well-connected people you could ever talk shit about. Very cool. I'm just a big fan of the guy. He has insane like specificity to his jokes, and so the fact that they're sort of unstructured and just sort of like he goes from story to story doesn't really matter because you're getting like wild joke specificity. It rocks. He's cool.
Nice. I'm gonna put that down as your number 10.
So I want to clarify. Your number 10 TV show of 2024 is a comedy special from 2023. Is that correct? Is that
well? Hey, I have one that came out in 2024. One that I actually made Dane watch. You remember this, Dane?
Was this the one with the boys in the audience?
This is on YouTube. This is Dan Licata's For the Boys. Dan Licata is a crazy guy who's like basically always in character as a stupid Italian from like New York City. He's in like the crew of like Connor O'Malley, like Carmen Christopher type dudes. He wrote for SNL for a couple years there, which is insane to me because like his brain has nothing to do with SNL. It's fucking ridiculous. This is a hour-long special that is performed in front of a group of like preteen boys. That's the audience.
It's like half full. That's the more important
it's
part.
It's like a mostly empty like school auditorium full of boys, and he is making references that are so over their fucking heads. Like it's so funny. They do not know how to react to what he's saying. It's also part of like an overarching like fake storyline, which is like there's like a principal in there and like a teacher, and they're like, you know, they're upset by the fact that he's doing this, even though these boys, I'm assuming, don't even all go to the same school. Like it hasn't, you know what I mean? But it's just I love when comedians fuck with like the concept of audience. Obviously Fred Armisen did this in Stand Up for Drummers. We're gonna see him in a couple of months here.
Oh hell yeah, we got tickets.
Very excited for that. Maria Bamford has an incredible special where the audience is just her parents. It's a really cool way to fuck with the form, because the reason I like it is like watching this special is it forces you to think about the jokes, because you can't fall back on the reaction and be like, oh yeah, that was funny. Like you have to be parsing out these jokes as you're watching, because the kids are not a reliable meter of what he's saying.
How funny
it skews.
You can't just zone out. It's really great. He also has a crazy specificity. It's very Connor O'Malley writing core. Like it's just all about like really specific types of like stupid guys, basically. And
so what's his name again?
Dan Licata, For the Boys, parentheses YouTube.
I like that the style of the video thumbnail is just Tony Hawk Underground. Like that's literally just what the thumbnail is. Just,
okay,
that's cool.
So let's get into the list proper. If folks don't know, if this is your first time.
So what was that then, huh?
That was your number 10. That was your number 10.
And now we're getting into the list proper.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear what you watched. 9 shows and 6 of them were bad. So I just can't wait to see where this is going to go, really.
If folks are watching or listening for the first time, the way we do this is we don't know each other's lists. And when we reveal them, if we have overlap on any picks, we save it for whoever has it the highest. We go backwards from 10 to 1. My guess is, just like albums and movies, we will probably split this into 2 parts We did the same thing last year, so I'm just going to go ahead and say this is part 1, and then we'll do part 2 for the top half of the list. Let's get started with our guest, number 10, Dane. What is your number 10 TV show of 2024?
Oh, on the spot. Okay, so my number 10 show is a recommendation from my parents.
Hell yeah! It's not Landman, is it?
It's not Landman. It's Florida Landman. The show is called Bad Monkey.
Nice.
On Apple TV Plus. It's Vince Vaughn doing an adaptation of a Carl Hyacin novel. Y'all, I probably butchered his name. Y'all know him?
It's Carl Hyacin. Yeah,
absolute legend.
Big Florida guy. Yeah, big fan of Florida as a concept. And I think
he's written a million books, and they're like all about like a journalist in Florida who uncovers an environmental conspiracy and meets a lot of weird guys. That's like every Carl Hyacin novel.
Yeah,
and they're all good.
This is Vince Vaughn plays a cop who used to be a big time detective in Miami, and then he crossed the wrong dirty cop, and so now he works in Key West or something, and he gets brought in.
Is it shot there? Like, can you tell that they actually?
Yeah, dude, it's like
cameras there.
They definitely are like in Florida. I can say that. Yeah,
maybe not the Keys.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. The show takes place a lot of different. Like they're in Miami, they're in the Keys. I'm gonna butcher. It's there's some Caribbean country, I don't remember which one it is, but they go there and they're flying around on planes. The blonde girl from Search Party, she's in it. What's her name?
Nice.
Oh,
being serious.
It sounds like a fun show. I mean,
yeah, it's like a police procedural, but it's like it's Carl Hyacin.
Are there perhaps
funny?
Are there perhaps characters welcome in this show?
Oh, this would like absolutely be like a USA show. This would show on USA in 2010. A billion%.
It sounds like Burn Notice. You're like describing
it's
Burn Notice.
It's Burn Notice, but with like Vince Vaughn, and he's not a spy. He's just a cop, you know.
And
I'm kind of in on that. I
got Rob Delaney.
I'm here for. Oh, okay. Shit.
Yeah, there's
Alex
a lot
Moffat
of people in this. Yeah. It's honestly
Monahan.
I think might be Alex Moffat's favorite role of mine. Not that there's many.
Zach Braff is playing a guy named Israel O'Peel.
Yeah, Zach Braff's in it.
This is so Burn Notice coded. It's crazy.
It's great. It's Bill Lawrence was executive producer.
Shit.
That makes Apple TV is just like fully just. Yeah, I was gonna say he is printing money through Apple right now,
and it's it ends kind of there. That was my take on the ending, but
setting up for a new season or wrapping things up.
Unclear because it's based on a book.
Okay. So maybe they do the next book if
they left kind of like we could do more, but like aren't necessarily trying to, you know.
Hey, it looks like Vince Vaughn is maybe slimmed down a little bit. Maybe he's sober. Maybe he's on just cocaine.
I'm happy for Vince. I've actually heard good things about the show, aside from just you. I was really hoping that we were going to get a full-blown like Vince Vaughn-assance in 2020 with the horror film Freaky, a film that I stand behind as a good
it is
legacy remake idea of the Freaky Friday idea of you switch bodies with serial killer.
Yeah, Freaky Friday the 13th, right?
Oh, yeah, that's fun. That's fun. I like that.
And Vince Vaughn plays a 16-year-old girl, and he's fantastic in it. And I really thought that was going to be somewhere, but I mean, it was a horror movie released in 2020, so it just kind of came and went. And I'm glad that he has this. I hope this is like become something. If not this show, it will remind people of like, hey, you know who I really like seeing in things is Vince Vaughn.
All right. Well, that is Bad Monkey.
I'm in on this, Dane. I'm already glad that we got you instead of
also.
Me here.
I am glad that we get some Apple TV love off the top. I know between Ernie and Dane, there's going to be a lot of Apple TV mentions on this podcast. So
that is Dane's number 10. So Hunter, let's go to you. What's your number 10?
My number 10 is a show that's I have conflicted feelings about overall, but I do want to mention it. It came out at the very beginning of the year, and that is True Detective Night Country.
Hell yeah.
The 4th season of True Detective. The irony about the show is I think that the True Detective aspects are the worst part about the show. Like, I really think that if they would have taken this story, which Nick Pizzolatto is kind of like at the center as the executive producer, creator of it, as he is with all the True Detectives. But really, this is Issa Lopez, like her show. She writes or co-writes every single episode. Like, this was her idea for an entry into this. And it's clear that HBO was like, we'll do this, but only if you add some like witchy True Detective shit in there. At its core, it's this really interesting, it's this story of the dynamic between Jodie Foster and alumni of the We Bought a Mic family, Callie Reese, who she plays native.
If you haven't listened back far enough, she actually was the 3rd co-host before Hunter until 2022, when she got this.
Yeah, all through her like boxing career, she was just actively on the podcast, but she decided to hang that life up, and she was like, there's only one person I can hand the mantle over to you. It has to be you, Hunter. We share the most in common with each other, personality and looks wise.
This was after you had a giant boxing match with her.
Yeah. It's I think a very well executed show, even if I think that there are some very big stumbles in the middle of it. It is that's kind of the period where we're trying to, do the classic True Detective thing of like, ooh, there's something supernatural happening here. What's interesting is this kind of this story about, hey, maybe there's something more sinister under the surface with these indigenous people in rural Alaska, especially when there are these long stretches of times, days, weeks, months of the year that are completely dark. There is no sun that's happening there, which is such a creepy idea. And I think that a lot of the direction in this show is really something to be applauded. Issa Lopez, she directs every single episode. They all look immaculate. It's great to see Jodie Foster back and stuff again, being incredible. She won a Golden Globe, which was kind of a shock, at least to me. Frankly, I kind of forgot about the show, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Jodie Foster was in Night Country this year, and she was really good in that show. So
it's a great character. She's so hardened. Like, you can just tell that
it's something Jodie Foster. She plays that character like so well. I think because we bring in the baggage of Clarice and every other character that Jodie Foster has played through her entire career, it perfect match. So
love it. Love the pick.
It's a good
big
show.
Recommend if people haven't checked it out. It works extremely well as a binge. I struggled with this show week to week when it was coming out. The mystery is very drawn out. You don't feel very satisfied with watching each episode like 7 days apart. I feel like, now that it's out, now that it's just up on Max, it's one that you could crush through. You could just burn through it and get a lot more out of it in the binge format that we're all used to these days. Shout out to the indigenous people of Alaska and their struggles and their stories, and the way it sort of adds really nice texture to the mystery. There's some incredible imagery in this show. Like, I'll never forget the popsicle of humans, like the frozen together group of guys that that is found in the ice. Really, really great show. I'm glad it's here.
It's something that it's definitely like, she definitely has a clear eye, because it is one of those images that could be grotesque, or it could have, it could have all these different views based on whose perspective it is. But there's something so artful and artistic about all of the carnage that she chooses to display. It's a cool show. I would say that's probably 3rd if we're ranking seasons of True Detective. I'd put it behind 1 and behind 3. But with that being said,
if you look at it more as its own thing rather than a True Detective thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Just
it
Night
doesn't
Country.
Really fit in. It's just Night Country. If you watch it as just Night Country, you can get more out of it, honestly.
It's Hunter's number 10, True Detective Night Country. We're at my number 10, which I'm very curious if one of you guys might have it. This might be the first save it, but I could have gone a couple different ways here, and I just had to be true to myself and go with X-Men 97.
Yeah, you're gonna have to save that, buddy.
Okay, there we go. I figured, but I did want to be one of those where I punted it to someone else, hoping that they would have it. Like, we'll get to it. We'll talk about it.
All right.
All right. So we are back around to Drew. You're number 9.
All right. Well, we might have to save this one too, as it is the worst show that I watched last year. So it is, of course, Love is Blind UK season 1.
Jesus
Should I just leave?
No. A lot of people watch this, Drew. We could get good views. This could draw a huge audience to the pod. So tell us about Love is Blind.
So a couple things. There are sort of like hints here of something that's going to pop up with another reality show that I talk about later, where they almost kind of stumbled into a better version of the original show in the spinoff for logistical reasons for both of these shows. But so for this one, Love is Blind, they take a group of singles that are like, I guess generally from like the same area of the United States, like the same, not quite the same metro
regional
area,
groups.
Yeah, the same like tri-state area, really. Like it's not that close. And then they, you go in these pods, you can't see your partner, you talk to other. Have you guys watched the show before?
Never.
I've seen parts of the
30 shows,
season,
Dane.
But I never
30 shows. So it's like the premise of it is a fun reality love experiment thing that obviously if you're watching it to like watch people, like successful relationships form, like you're fucking stupid because that doesn't happen on any of these. That's not the point. The point is watching people subject themselves to psychological torture so that they can get like 30,000 Instagram followers afterward.
As reality shows should be.
That genuinely, this is why Nathan For You is the greatest show of all time, because he's just doing that same thing, but he's being a lot more overt about the torture part.
Yeah.
But these shows are really putting people through an emotional ringer for the world to see. A lot of the time you're having to make an apology speech during the after show because you said something about someone being fat or whatever. So the reason that it works better in the UK is because you can be from anywhere in the UK and be like a short train trip away from anyone else. So in America, like if you live like 3 hours drive from your partner, you're just going to break up. Like the logistics of these relationships don't make any sense for an American show. In England, it's like, oh yeah, like I live here right now. Like England is the size of fucking Florida. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, I could move up there, sure. So I feel like the success rate of the show is going to be a lot higher in the UK. Another weird positive here is that the people are a little bit more thoughtful. Everyone's a little bit uglier. I'm going to be honest. That's what I'm trying to say. Than the American version, which is a good thing. I think partially the reason is because there is already such a cornered market on like the trashy British reality shows that all those people get funneled straight to Love Island. You know what I mean? Like all like the hot morons. So like you're getting something closer to the show that I pitched long ago on this podcast called Sevens, which is about sevens dating.
That's how you find love.
I really thought you were going to go somewhere else where you're like, the thing is that the show, they are uglier because everyone in the UK is uglier than they are in America. I thought
that's like
to make.
Absolutely the
might be
undertone
factually accurate.
Yeah, well,
that's you're right. I should have
care at least.
That's like assumed in my mind. It's like, yeah, because like we need to like nuke fucking Britain off the face of the earth. They're awful people.
Grab all the musicians and then just like let it sort itself out.
Grab Ireland.
Yeah, grab the good people of Ireland.
Anyway, also big difference in the host quality. The hosts, it's hosted by a couple in each show. In America, it's fucking Nick and Vanessa Lachey, and they suck. Everyone universally hates them. The biggest fans of that show fucking hate them. No one likes them. They handle every single conflict with the least amount of tact you could ever see. The couple in the UK version a lot better. So my main critiques remain with like the setup of the show. Like if I were to produce this show, the interesting part of the show is spending time in the pods and not knowing what your partner looks like. They're spending weeks in there, and you're just following like, you know, it's pretty loosely edited, and it's supposed to be very prestige and nice feeling. But like every episode, you might follow like front to back like a couple's journey, and like you see, you know, them get to know each other. You know, them having like real discussions, like serious discussions, relationship discussions, logistical discussions, like, so where are you at? Where am I at? That stuff is way more interesting than once they get out. But I think the way it's constructed right now, like half or more than half of each season of this show is outside of the pods. I'm not interested. That's just called like dating. Like we have shows for that. Yeah. I get the obvious, and it's, you know, it's in a controlled environment still. They go to like a resort type scenario first where they meet all the other couples, and there's drama there because like they all dated each other without seeing each other. And then they end up, you know, they meet families, and then they're left with the ultimatum decision at the end. The reason I don't care about any of that is because the decision at the end doesn't matter. Any sane person would just, we're left with the impression of like, well, fuck, if they don't get married right now, like it's over. Done. It's like, no, if you're a sane person, you just say, hey, let's not get married and just like date because we like each other. You know, like how it all works and always has worked. So it still just struggles with really, really stupid problems. But the joy of watching someone truly just suck every single time they're on camera and shoot themselves in the foot. And there's a guy on this season, one of the most compelling villain performances I've ever seen. He is so unlikable in like a very specific way. He's very self-conscious and like wants to be like so hot. Really, really compelling story on this guy. It's just not, it's the worst show I saw this year. Okay. It's not a great show.
It's Love Island, or not. Is it Love Island or Love is Blind?
Love is Blind.
You're spoiling the rest of my list.
Yeah, Love Island is number one.
I did write
like
Love is Blind.
Episodes of it.
I don't know why I said Love Island. They all blur in my head. UK on Netflix.
I believe so.
Sure, I don't know.
I think so.
On ITV.
Don't encourage people to watch it.
It's Drew's number 9. Dane, we're at your number 9.
My number 9's an anime. I'm not really an anime guy.
Save it.
Save it.
I have the genre anime coming up in my top 10. So,
did they do a Dr. Odyssey anime already?
No, I fucking wish they would.
Holy shit.
The amount of like sucking and fucking would go up like tenfold.
God, I want to watch that so bad now. Someone needs to make that, please.
No, at number 9, I have Dandedan. It was kind of blowing up on Twitter back when I was on there.
And, it's all one word, Dandedan.
Yeah. And it's nonsense. The first episode is a bit of a hard sell. Because it's weird by American standards, but like at its core, once you get over the weirdness of what it is, it's a story about 2 high school kids like falling in love for the first time. Like they don't really know what like love is, and so they're like horribly awkward. And then also it's like ghosts and aliens, and then they run around and stuff. But you have to get over like the hurdle of there's a granny ghost who like steals the kid's penis. Yeah.
Oh,
it's a hefty hurdle.
Just
regular anime things.
Yeah, just Japan shit, I guess. So the premise is like the guy believes in aliens and the girl believes in ghosts, but they don't believe in what the other believes in. So like he dares her to go to a place where alien abductions happen, and she dares him to go to a really haunted place. And aliens abduct her, and he gets possessed. And then they're like dealing with the consequences of that, while also like, I don't know, being a nice, sentimental, coming of age love story.
Mm-hmm.
I am seeing on Wikipedia that the castration is like a core part of the plot.
Yes. Yeah, they're like trying to get his balls back now because he got his penis back, but like not his balls. It's like a whole thing.
Wow. Yeah, I guess this is a recurring theme in Japanese
Okay, watch it.
Storytelling.
I don't know. I'm not here to make judgments. I'm just here to tell you that I thought it was
a good
pretty
show.
good.
Is it a shorter anime or is it?
Yeah, I mean it's like it's gonna have like more seasons.
No. Well, I meant like each season. Like how many episodes?
Yeah, it was like,
like
13 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm just used to you coming here and being like, my favorite thing is this new season of One Piece. There was 276 episodes, and
I'm in the middle of my second watch through of Dragon Ball Z. I'm halfway through the Boo saga.
Well, listen,
right now.
I'm not going to talk shit about that.
That's like 700 episodes.
You won't hear me talking shit about Dragon Ball Z as somebody who owns a large chunk of the Boo saga on VHS tape in another room of my home.
That rocks.
Anyways,
so it looks like you can watch it on Crunchyroll.
It was a Netflix. They had a deal.
Yeah, Netflix and Hulu.
It says here it's available on X videos.
It's available. Oh wait, no, it's not available in Florida anymore after the ban.
Yeah.
You have to sign in with a face scan, but it's under the category of ephebophilia. What's that, Dane?
I don't know what that is, Drew. You sound like you're using big words like that. That might be something you know all about. I don't know.
Shout out Matt Gates.
It's called Dandedan. It's Dane's number 9. Hunter, you're number 9.
Speaking of Matt Gates, my number 9. No. My number 9 is just. I had to keep everybody on their toes there a little bit. I don't know if anybody else is going to have this on their list or not. My number 9 is season 3 of The Bear.
Hey, that's also my number 9. Let's get into it.
Did it make a list? No. So
not the best show of the best season of The Bear, but still a good show.
That's the thing about this show is that like I am kind of grading this season a little bit on the curve. I feel a little bit similar to it as I do about season 3 of Atlanta. However, I think that they have different ideas. If you listen to everything Christopher Storer has ever said, it was that The Bear was 3 seasons of a television show. He had 3 seasons mapped up in his mind. And then FX was like, well, here's more money if you make it 4. And it's just kind of having that sitting in the back of your head. You can feel that this feels like an incomplete thought. It feels like one season of TV that stretched out across 2 different seasons, and we're only getting half of a story here. Atlanta season 3 was Donald Glover having too many ideas. It was just like, I actually just want to make a different show that's not Atlanta now. That's over there. We love Atlanta. Here, though, I do think that there is enough in this season that is still admirable and still makes it one of the best things that's on television. Of course, obviously, like the cast is incredible, but even just some of the artistic choices that Storer and co make,
first episode, man, it's such
a ballsy choice.
A 30-minute montage is crazy. Like just a nonstop like collage of images. That's so cool. Out there.
Isn't like the penultimate episode like a similar in structure to the first episode? I feel like there was like another like montagey scene that they did towards the end of the season.
The last episode, and people who point, and I'm not the first person to say this, but the biggest problem with this season of TV is it feels like they took all the wrong lessons from the success of The Bear season 2, which is just like, let's just fucking throw all of the famous guest stars in the world at this show and just put them in here and take away time from this like incredible lightning in a bottle cast that you found. It's like whenever you have like this incredible basketball team, it's almost like if OKC right now, I'm gonna bring NBA into this. If like the Oklahoma City Thunder were like, we're traded for LeBron James, and you know what, Kevin Durant get down here, and it's like, okay, but that's the best team. All that's gonna do is just like mess with the chemistry, this beautiful core that you have here. You don't want to mess with that. Just keep this magic that you have going right there. That is what we are here tuning in for. But because of what was the episode of season 2 where like everybody in the goddamn mother was at it, Fishes. Because of that show, especially being one that kept getting mentioned on critics list after critics list, they were like,
won all the awards.
We want to do that. And frankly, if I was just a guy in Hollywood, like a famous person, I would want to be a part of this show. So I can't really blame them. I can't blame the Jillian Jacobs, the Jamie Lee Curtises, the Olivia Colmans, Bob Odenkirk, Sarah Paulson, John Mulaney. Like, I would want to take part in the show if I was offered a role. But when you're bringing like John Cena in to just be a key character in one of your episodes,
real tough.
It just
real low point.
It just doesn't have the same pizzazz.
Yeah, that's really what brings it down is those egregious choices. But there's some really high points too. I mean, we get Napkins, which is one of the best episodes the show has ever done. The directorial debut of Ayo Edebiri, really tender moments from John Bernthal, and the Emmy award-winning Lisa Colon Zayas.
As Tina.
Yes. You know, Ice Chips, I think, was a very divisive episode. Jamie Lee Curtis coming back, the birth of her granddaughter.
I think that episode is like actually like pretty brilliant, but I also feel like
but people had some nits to pick.
I didn't like it, but I'm like sitting here and I'm like, all I can really say is that this episode like isn't my cup of tea.
Yeah,
like
it's a choice.
That's so interesting because like I think that Ice Chips gave me what a lot of people felt about Jamie Lee Curtis and Fishes. I felt in Ice Chips, where I was like, no, this is actually letting Jamie Lee Curtis's character be something more than just like, I'm so like frantic, frazzled mother who's all over the place. Like Ice Chips gives her so much more dimension that I really love that episode. But I also do get the criticisms as well.
Yeah. I really love Doors as well, which is when we really finally see the restaurant like in full force. We are at the Bear. We see these people doing their thing. I mean, that is the episode. We really get a chance to kind of see this kitchen cook. I mean, there's so many other instances throughout the season where we're not in the kitchen, where we're not experiencing this restaurant in operation. And that's the one episode, the third episode, where we kind of just clear out and the entire thing is just watching these people do their job. And I thought I got a lot out of that one. So yeah, not the best season, but I think it's still worthy of the top 10 because this is still one of the best shows on TV. And they didn't drop the ball all the way, you know,
especially given how bleak the rest of the year was. It's
right.
Exactly. That's kind of the thing.
The episodes that were really good were like really good. They would have been good no matter what, but they shine, I think, even brighter because of how bad everything else.
Right. And I'm excited for season 4. You know, Jeremy Allen White, you know, he keeps winning like best comedy performance. It's not a comedy. Like he is in a dramatic role and he's a pressure cooker this entire season. And in the final episode, his scene with Joel McHale is just like we're popping off and we're getting ready to go full into this finale, this what should be like the final season of The Bear.
I think the jokes were pretty funny this season, actually.
Too many facts. A lot of facts.
With the exception of facts. With the exception of the number of facts. But like
tone down the facts a little bit.
The non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Non-negotiables is great.
Yeah.
I literally tell me how I have a team at work, and I literally a couple months ago in a team meeting was like, here are our non-negotiables that we need to put on there. And I had a board and I put non-negotiables and I would just add things to it. And then other people started adding their non-negotiables. And I was like, we're literally acting out The Bear right now. What's happening? I don't know how this happened, but
it's still a lovely show. Great cast. You know, got to shout out Will Poulter. Got to shout out, all the other members of the ensemble that aren't the big showy guest stars. I hope. Yeah. Oh, yes, Lionel, my boy. I hope that they get their chance to shine in season 4 and don't get relegated even more to the back bench.
Big shout out to Traps Josh Hartnett.
Hey, yeah. That's one of the little guest cameos that does work really well. I like that scene. That's a good little scene. All right, The Bear season 3 is Hunter and I's number 9. So we're back to Drew for your number 8.
Well,
what is your number 8?
I have fucking incredible news, which is that I thought of another show I watched. And it actually should go in the 10 slot.
Okay. So you're not sharing your number 8.
It's worse than...
If you want, we can put the comedy specials in at number 8.
Okay. Okay, so this is your number 10. So you're
truly
this is beautiful podcasting. I can't.
Okay, what is it?
This is another show I watched with my lovely girlfriend Annabelle. This is, I think, by far the worst season of reality TV I've ever watched in my entire life. It's 2024's season of The Bachelorette. Like I always say with reality TV, like when we're talking about better shows like Survivor, it is so dependent on casting because there is no baseline of adequacy that you would get in a TV show, even if a show is like, an anthology thing that's changing out its cast every year. There's a baseline of like, okay, well, these people are like meant to do this. The casting process on The Bachelorette is just absolute dog shit to the point that like a lot of the people that make it there should not be there. The Bachelorette herself this season just like did not have it. And it was so fucking brutal to watch. Really bad TV. Don't recommend it. Shout out Jen Tran. You can sort of see her mid-season realizing that she is being manipulated and tortured by producers. But she doesn't really have like the wherewithal to like overcome that. In 2023, we had Joey, who was like an incredible bachelor because he definitely knew he was being manipulated, but also like he had his eyes on the prize of like, I'll get to be on Dancing with the Stars after this. You know what I mean? Like, so he was willing to play the game. This is a person, Jen, who is not capable of articulating any emotion that she's feeling at any given moment. And that's actually really not good if you're trying to be on a show that's all about you feeling emotions.
Facts.
Absolute F- dog shit season. Couldn't have been worse. Jen, I really feel for you, girl.
I have heard that this might be like the worst season yet of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, to the point that people are like, should we end this show? Like, has the show like has it run its course?
It's because they never learned the right lesson, which is like, should we not cast our next Bachelor or Bachelorette based on who was on the last season of the opposite show?
Yeah. Keep it separate. Yeah.
Have some imagination.
Right.
Like, I mean,
I like that they're doing the golden series. Like that, at least that's something.
Hey, Golden Bachelor is that's
let's wait a minute.
Oh, we gotta say that. All right, Dane.
I will I want to say that it does seem like The Bachelor is, they're getting some of the same criticisms that we give to a show like Survivor, where it's a little bit sniffing your own farts. And it's like, come on, guys, there's other people out here. We don't have to just keep the same
broaden the scope a little bit.
Crew over and over again, bring back the same people doing the same things over and over again. We can spice things up a little bit.
Really quick shout out to Jesse Palmer, who he took over as the host when the original host was like soft canceled a few years ago, who was genuinely from the start always an awful television host. He was a producer of the show as well. He has producer face, producer voice. Like, it was crazy that he was ever the host. Jesse Palmer is a sportscaster who took over and is fucking clinical with the way he's a robot. Every single episode, like, when she's giving out the roses, when it gets to the final rose, the sigh of like fake empathy that he gives is like, gentlemen, it's the final rose. I'll give you a moment to say your goodbyes.
That's great.
Really great.
I need more disdain from my reality TV show hosts. I need more like vitriol and resentment.
You want like them to get out the final rose and you'd be like, what? Like angry.
That would better
step it up.
Yeah.
That would actually be way better. No, Jesse is a fucking company man at heart. Like,
could you I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of like, if we're gonna make The Bachelor more like Survivor, like can we have Jeff be the host of The Bachelor, just like Johnny in dead last amongst the men?
How does it
wouldn't
feel?
Give a rose to this guy.
How does it feel right now to lose all your hopes and dreams?
Chris had his time stolen by Devin once again. You gotta think he wants to get a minute in there.
Maybe that's what Jesse should do. Like, go full commentator voice, if anything. Like, just even if you're just self-narrating for the audience, like, and It's another moment that he's letting pass him by. You can tell he's getting in his own head, Jeff.
Anyway, that's my number 10.
Bachelorette.
The Bachelorette, Drew's 8, but actually 10. Dane, number 8.
I'm channeling full 2014 with this one. Smiling Friends.
Wow.
At number
let's
8.
Go. Nice.
Yeah, y'all watch Smiling Friends?
No,
I haven't watched it yet. I'm excited to.
I've been told by a lot of people just like this kind of came and ate Rick and Morty's lunch. Like this fully took the mantle of what the next Adult Swim show is.
Yeah, this isn't weeb. Is this weeb shit or
no?
No.
It's Adult
Swim.
Off of YouTube. Is like the two guys who make it were YouTube guys, I think. I don't know.
It's like a poorly animated, like classic Adult Swim cartoon.
Hunter, didn't you put this on at your house one time? I feel like I recognize.
These I've
shapes.
Never watched an episode of the show.
There were a couple episodes that semi-viral. Like
this was season 2 or this is the second season, right? Okay.
Yeah. It feels a little cringe to say that I like it, right? Just because like I'm old now and I saw Rick and Morty come the first time and it's like, oh, this is going to be miserable in a couple years, but right now I'm enjoying it. It's fun stuff. That they got fun characters.
It's snarky, like edgy comedy.
Basically. Yeah, they kind of sometimes break the fourth wall a little bit, but like not nearly as egregiously as Rick and Morty. It's way more about like shock animation, and it also kind of has it benefits from being like 11-minute episodes. Because you can just idea after idea after idea after idea, but like all like rapid fire, so you feel like you've got a whole lot of stuff, but it's really been a short amount of time. And
yeah, it's also from what I've seen, like not trying to accomplish what Rick and Morty. You know what I mean? Like it's a
little lighter on its feet.
Well, yeah, because Rick and Morty is like, okay, we're gonna make an animated adult show that's like really, really high concept, but also sticks to like the core tenets of like sitcom building. This isn't that. Like this is like you said, it's 11 minutes. Like every clip that I've seen reminds me way more of like Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which was one of my favorite shows.
In Rick and Morty, you had like Justin Roiland doing the YouTube shit and Dan Harmon doing the sitcom shit, and you don't really have that sitcom shit in Smiling Friends. It's
by that token, if there isn't like the Harmon aspect, does it have any of the I don't want it feels like odd to say weightiness whenever you're talking about Rick and Morty, but there is like this central nihilism that is, at least to the early season for Rick and Morty. I fell apart on that show, so I don't know what that even became. But is Smiling Friends channel any of that, or is it much more just like easy breezy?
No, it's super nihilistic, but like nihilistic and so in Rick and Morty, right, there's like the depressing nihilism that they have to like kind of uplift you back into the go from like, oh, nothing matters to nothing matters, I can be a good person, I can help people, and like that's the core of what they're like. They're a charity that makes people smile, and it's like horrible and violent and shocking and unpleasant to look at, but like at its core it's just like, we're gonna make this guy smile. That's what we're doing today.
Hell yeah. That's Smiling Friends. It's
one other question
8.
about Smiling Friends. Do we think that this like yellow fucking dude is going to replace the volume of Pickle Rick pipes that are at every smoke shop around?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Charlie bongs and Pim pipes.
I still have a Rick pipe. It does not work. It's a novelty item. It does not function, but I thought
whenever you turn 30, it actually like it turns to dust in your hand. It like fucking dissolves, and it's like, this wasn't meant for you anymore.
I mean, I don't think I've touched it since I turned 30, so maybe I shouldn't even try to. I should just leave it in the drawer so it doesn't poof. All right, Smiling Friends is Dane's number 8. Hunter, we're at your number 8.
My number 8 is another show that I have kind of mixed feelings about, but I was kind of out on, and then this season brought me back in and made me optimistic for the future. And that is season 2 of House of the Dragon.
Hell yeah. Okay.
I'm going to be honest. Season 1 I found to be pretty rough, pretty
hot D, as I like to call it.
Very shaggy. And it was a thing where I was like, I don't know what the legs are like on the show. And frankly, I'm not 100% in on the future of House of the Dragon, but again, a weaker year. I was surprised how much I found myself like kind of looking forward to what the next week was going to bring. And I didn't really think that I was ever going to get to that point with this show. It is still kind of Game of Thrones cosplay, like at its core, and it can't ever really escape.
Yeah, but that's okay.
But
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's the thing is I think that maybe I've just grown as a person too, that I've kind of come to accept it. I think at its core, they kind of figured out what the show is really about, which is the Emma Darcy character and
Alicent.
Yeah.
Olivia Cook.
Sorry, I was blanking on her name. What those two have together, their dynamic, that is the idea of the show.
Their love.
And
it's basically a love story.
I don't think that the first season of the show really quite knew that that's what was at its core. And season 2 figured out like, no, it's just going to be these two powers together that have this like sisterly love, kind of pseudo motherly type connection to each other that they can't really ever fully disconnect, despite the fact that they now see like the full tendrils of what went wrong. It's one of those things where like they can't put the toothpaste back in the toothpaste.
The repercussions of their actions, exactly. The ripple effects.
And so it's a thing that I am now more interested on the show, and it's a thing where it's gonna just do the dragon thing, and I'm a simple
There's some
man.
good dragon shit.
What can I say? Like,
who doesn't like dragons?
At the end of the day, I like to see big dragon turn things to burning crisp. I think that that's cool. I think it looks good. I think that there is a place for that in television.
The episode where they bring in all the Targaryen bastards to figure out which one can ride the dragon is one of the best episodes of the year. That shit is so fucking cool. The dragon's just like, I'm going to kill all of you until like two are left.
I have some notes about the guys who we settled on for the Targaryens, which we did a whole deep dive episode. So I don't want to. We don't have to.
Oh yeah, we can link people to that. I forgot we did that again.
But the guy who's like stone faced, stock Skyrim character, I don't really know if he's doing anything for me.
Hero man.
I play the warrior. Don't really. No,
the other guy is cool as fuck though.
Yeah,
the drunk.
The other guy's like, he's got
drunk.
A personality. I'm like, oh no, I want to just hang out with that. I know he's supposed to be like, more the bad guy. I'm like, no, fuck that. I want to hang out with this guy. Give me more scenes with him. Anybody who's just playing like stoicism and that's their character trait is just deeply uninteresting. Tough season for our guy Matt Smith.
Tough. Kind of just staring at a tree.
Spends the whole season, just staring at a tree, just tripping balls, thinking about how he wants to fuck his niece.
Watching Game of Thrones in his head, like, oh man, there's another show like coming that's really good, guys.
I think it's developing. It's starting to find its footing into what maybe will be a good show. It's never going to scratch the full itch that Game of Thrones had, reach the highs of at one point in time, point of Game of Thrones, I was like, this might end up becoming my favorite show of all time. It obviously didn't land that plane. But we'll see what it's going. If anything, this show also kind of gave me faith in what the other stories could possibly be in this extended
Night of the Seven Kingdoms
George R. R. Martin world
is coming soon. I'll watch it.
Sounds cool. Yeah.
I think my biggest complaint was it felt like they ran out of story right at the end. Like you could feel like maybe the writer's strike. Short. Yeah, like the writer's strike like shut shit down and they didn't want to push the season. So they were just like, you know what? We're just going to put out what we have. And you're just like, you're getting to it. And it's like, oh, see you next time.
It ends at the precipice of a battle. Yeah. And it's like, it's only an 8-episode season versus the 10-episode season 1. And it's like, we ran out of time to film the last the big battle that we're leading up to the entire season, which that's going to be how season 3 starts. And it's going to be cool. But
they still manage to give you little bits throughout the season. It's not like the episodes are uneventful. Like it still has a somewhat episodic structure. It's not like some of these Disney Plus slop that's like a movie story stretched out into 8 episodes. They actually went the television approach that you're supposed to and give you actual arcs in every episode. Great pick. It's House of the Dragon, also known as Hot D. Season 2. That's Hunter's number 8. We are at my number 8. which I think based on some conversations we've had, we're going to have to save. It's Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, you're going to have to save that bad boy.
Okay. Love to hear it. All right. So we're swinging back around to Drew.
All right.
Your number 7. Hit us up.
All right. Well, I have good news and bad news. It's both the same piece of news. I thought of another show that I watched that would, I suppose, bump out the number 10 that I just.
Oh my god.
No!
This saga is evolving. So the comedy specials are remaining on the list.
Well, no, I guess those should be removed because they're just like not TV. So let's get rid of those. The Bachelorette is the 10th and worst show I saw. And then I did my
Love is Blind is staying at 9. And now you're sharing 8 or 7.
Fuck.
This is 8.
No, so now I'm sharing my number 8.
It should be 7.
Yeah,
it should be 7, but
we kicked out comedy. So now this is 8.
This is all just a way for me to like get more airtime than any of you guys. I don't. Oh God, this all just sucks so bad. But let's chat about this. Quiet on Set: The Dark Side of TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
Buddy.
Yeah, there we go.
This is a good series. This is a show.
Yeah.
It's a mini docu-series.
Good job, Drew.
It's one of those where like you're not watching it because it's like put together in any like inspiring way, or it has like some fascinating, like wrinkle on the medium of documentary. It's because of the subject matter, obviously near and dear to a lot of us. It's about what went down in Nickelodeon in particular in the early 2000s. One of the biggest, I was surprised that and impressed, I guess. This is fucked up to say that they kept under wraps the biggest reveal of this entire thing. Which I guess to spoilers, because the first few episodes are getting into like the non-criminal, but like weird and like borderline bad practices of
and just the background.
Yeah,
just the Dan general Schneider, background. Some
racism accusations, some sexism accusations, just like being like an ornery, angry, fucking weird guy accusations. And then you get into the like real like child molestation cases going on. And it is revealed truly like one of the the wildest reveals of my lifetime that if anyone watched all that in the early 2000s, there was a character named Pickle Boy who was a middle-aged to older man. Me and my sister were obsessed with this guy when we were like 7. We thought it was so funny. He never said any lines. Turned out he was actually the children's acting coach, and therefore obviously the acting coach on most Schneider productions. This guy went away some years back for like raping one of the co-stars. Obviously the information of who that was kept under wraps, due to like general good practice in like California state law. It was never leaked exactly who it was until this docuseries came out. And it wasn't just like some extra on set. It was fucking Drake Bell. Like that is an absolute bombshell reveal for the show to have. So I guess if you were to there are several things to critique. One is that it is conflating like non-criminal issues with very criminal issues. Like non-criminal issues perpetrated by Dan Schneider with very criminal issues done by other people in his orbit, in a way that like is shoddy journalism, maybe
irresponsible.
It's just bad journalism. Yeah. And we're making an entertainment piece here. The second biggest critique you could have is did you guys watch the follow-up episode?
Yeah. It spoiled everything about like.
It is so like if I thought like, the initial series was made like, it's like an investigation discovery show. Like it's like fine documentary making. This is so bad. This follow-up episode, it is hosted by a woman that we don't know, was not in any of the original stuff. She's clearly some sort of like TV journalist. It wants us to like trust her and like her. Like she's interviewing a lot of the main characters from the season. She's doing a pretty bad job of it. Feels like weirdly exploitative of them. and it keeps on cutting to her face, like, but reacting to stuff. And it's like, well, I don't care. I don't know who that is. Why are you showing me her like smirking at a joke or something? It is so poorly executed in every single way. I was absolutely shocked that they greenlit it. It's clearly just a cash grab because the initial show got so many eyes on it for the type of production that it is, especially. So I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts on this?
I thought it was interesting to watch as like a person who didn't grow up watching Nickelodeon. Because
that's gonna.
This didn't like ruin any of my childhood. It was more for me. It was like, oh, this is what everybody else was watching. Like, oh,
y'all are crazy.
Y'all are fucked up, man. I would have never participated in any of this.
Yeah. It felt a little exploitative. I was able to put away all of those feelings for like the original like run of it, and then the follow-up episode was like, here's Drake Bell singing a song, and it's like, well,
oh boy,
that's weird. You understand how that's weird, right? Like,
so that's the other big the big issue with this is that Drake Bell very transparently utilized this as an opportunity to sort of try to clear his name from the accusations against himself.
I was going to say, who also has his own dark history and accusations.
And from what I read, like court documents wise, it does seem like it actually was like a situation of him not knowing that this was like an underage girl. Like neither here nor there. He's obviously had like mental breakdowns over the years, and is also like, this is fucked up to say to someone who had horrible things happen to him, but like he's not a likable guy. He really transparently used this as an opportunity to relaunch his music career with the worst song that you've ever heard in your fucking life. It is that is going to be number 3 on my list.
Okay, cool.
Is the I kind of relate music video. It is so unbelievably fucked up, dark, layered in like dark in a layered way because of the opportunistic nature of it. The video is literally just about him getting like molested, and not in some like contemplative way, in a way of just it feels like he's exploiting himself.
Yeah.
Like it's like, dude, have some respect, man. Like this is
have some respect for yourself. Yeah.
It's sad because I think where the docuseries really, really shines is getting into the nature of these relationships between child actor supervisors on set and parents, and how that creates a lot of friction.
It's a story people should know. Like
exactly,
people need to know how this shit works. It's exploitative.
The most compelling scenes in this are with Drake Bell's father, who they were very close.
Any of this, right?
Yeah, his dad was essentially his manager, like got a sense that this guy was fucked up and weird, tried to pull Drake out of certain things because of it. And because Drake was so, had Stockholm syndrome, was being abused, ended up siding with the abuser and like cutting his dad out of his life. And his dad is like a really, really compelling on camera presence. Like those are the most compelling scenes, like hearing about their relationship and how it was fractured. Like, and that's sort of that's the tone that I think they should have stuck with, but I don't think they had a whole mini series worth of that tone. A couple of the people they bring on in the follow-up episode don't have anything to say. Mm-hmm. They're like, yeah, that guy was kind of weird. It's like, okay, well, thanks for contributing. We know what he did from the original show.
My thing is with this, because here's the thing. I like to consider myself a kid of all trades. I was watching the Nickelodeon, I was watching the Disney, I was watching the Cartoon Network. I got around. Okay. So I've watched my fair share of Nick shows, especially having like an older sister. I watched a lot of all that. Just like Nick Gas and Teen Nick, stuff like that was just on cable TV in Tallahassee, Florida in the 2000s. Was like a lot of the thing about this series, and I feel this way about a lot of different documentaries and documentary series, where if the subject matter is interesting enough, there's always going to be a solid floor for something. But as like a piece of documentary filmmaking, I didn't think it was very good. I didn't finish it, to be honest. Like I didn't really find it all that compelling and all that interesting, the way that it does spell out the story. But again, you're like learning that, like you mentioned, the bombshell of Drake Bell is something where it's almost worth the price of admission just for something like that, for that reveal, for the stuff with his dad. Like there are these key moments that are worth your time, but overall as like a documentary, didn't really find it all that impressive.
No, it's not amazing. It obviously brings up interesting questions that we take for granted. Like child acting as a whole, it doesn't get as much into it, but like is just a disgusting practice. You know, it's child labor. The only reason it's legal is because of like loophole laws that are like, well, if you cannot adequately replace the child in this field, then the child may work. And acting, we have determined, is essential enough that it's worth putting kids through what we put them through. Yeah. I'm not qualified to honestly make a moral stance there, because like shit would get a lot worse if like, you know, if there's a show that has a child in it and like it's played by a fucking adult or whatever. But it's really valid, especially in a time where like
maybe you can pass some standards and laws to like make the situations better.
Maybe regulations aren't all bad.
Well, and that's the thing is like that is, I think, what the show you could have just made a whole show that is literally just about that idea. But I think it also gets wrapped up in the Dan Schneider of it all. And then it becomes a little bit of a different thing where we aren't talking about child labor laws anymore. We're talking about like a sick man and like telling more of a story about him, where it's kind of just like, I get that the two are a little bit linked, but it feels like somehow there is more left on these two separate bones. And I wish that it was more focused on one or the other ideas.
That's a great way to put it. But still, you know, worth watching, especially if you're a Nick kid.
Yeah. 90s kids.
You know, it'll be interesting to reckon with, because the good news is like it's not like I'm watching these shows actively anymore, but like the greatest live action kid shows in my lifetime have been the Amanda Show and Drake and Josh. They're
legendary.
And in a year where like Amanda Bynes has sort of resurfaced every now and then, and it goes viral what she looks like and like the immense, you know, drug problems and mental breakdowns that she's had, none of that is even remotely touched on here, because that would be even more exploitative. Like she's obviously not trying to get involved, but my God, what the things we put people through for our entertainment.
Quiet on the Set is Drew's number 7.
Number 8.
No, oh
yeah, it's Drew's number 8.
Drew pivoted his list around where he was like the leadoff batter here, and now he's just like going in last with his 8 pick. I don't know how Drew ended up with the top 11, but
I didn't like when Ernest said, "All right, let's get into the list," after I started my list.
I mean, I had started your list though. I had that in your first slot.
All right, we'll take it out, and I'll let you know if I think of any other stuff I watched.
Okay. Well, we're at Dane's number 7 now. So what is your number 7, Dane?
My number 7 is a video game adaptation, the Fallout TV show from Amazon Prime.
You're going to have to save that one.
Okay. All right.
Sorry. Oh my God. Look at that.
There we go.
A couple of fucking nerds on here. Let's go.
Hunter, number 7.
My number 7, I don't know if we're going to have to save or not. My number 7 is John Mulaney's Everybody's in LA.
So this was on my list for the longest time, and I ended up having to bump it out because I watched something this week preparing for this episode. But I love this show. It is so good.
So this show feels like something special, and I don't even know what that thing is. And I think that's kind of what the beauty in it is. I realized that I never saw the last episode. So I watched it yesterday and prep for the pod. I was like, oh shit, there's another episode left. And I think Nikki Glazer kind of summed up the show best when she said, talking to John, like, I love the show. It's like I'm watching an inside joke that only you are a part of. And that's kind of like the best way to describe it, where it's so all over the place. In some episodes, the musical guest is last. In some episodes, the musical guest is first. In some episodes, they're doing one-on-one interviews with people. And other times they're trying to have a conversation, and they have like 4 stand-up comedians on the couch that are like doing bits in real time as the interviews are happening. Mulaney's like flubbing his lines as he's reading them. It's something that it feels like this walking disaster in a way, but the fact that it is so entertaining and you can't keep your eyes off of it because it's so wholly unique, it's just like, it's lightning in a bottle. It's so cool that you can have something where you have all these like incredible stand-up comedians and you have like these like really cool inspired digital short kind of pre-recorded sketches. And then also you could have a guy doing Wayne Grow doing a stand-up comedy set. And he's just doing it as the character Wayne Grow from the 1995 film Heat. Or as he says, the greatest film ever made about Los Angeles. It's so beyond anything. And the fact that it is all kind of always circle back to LA in some way and some idea, whether it's about like earthquakes or the paranormal or palm trees. Are they destroying like the land? Should we stop planting palm trees because they're just this huge water suck and providing no shade for anything? Like there are kind of ideas in it. There's like a central tenet that we can generally throw back to, but it loses itself. It's so unafraid to lose itself in a way that I've never really seen a talk show quite like it.
Well, one of my favorite parts is when Mulaney, it's the one where they're wearing the sunglasses the whole time. I don't know which one that is. It might be.
I think it's
I think it's helicopters. Yeah. The third episode where he says, I've heard the criticisms. I've heard your comments. I'm actually trying really hard to keep this on the rails. I am not trying to be chaotic. Like that is one of the things that really defines this entire endeavor super well. It has that energy that you're describing of kind of falling apart at the seams every given moment. But under the surface is a man trying so hard to put on a great show. And that's what gives it life. It is unlike anything else. The fact that Netflix bankrolled this for John Mulaney to do 6 episodes of a live television show, just, a full sign off on whatever he wanted, is incredible. Like that is such a gift. That is such a treasure. Apparently we're getting another season. Not necessarily in LA. It might be John Mulaney's everybody's in New York, Chicago, Portland, Milwaukee.
I was gonna say New York and Chicago would be like the only places you would do it, right?
Everybody's in Orlando.
And everybody's in Miami. Like, just make it happen, man. I would watch this so much. One of the saddest things is that David Lynch was supposed to be on this on the show. And I think he I don't know what happened. I think he just decided not to do it.
Well, I think he was too sick with the emphysema because I think he was supposed to have the John Carpenter spot in the last episode because they pan and they actually have a little bit of more traditional of an interview. But I mean, John Carpenter is amazing. So it's not like you're missing out by having John Carpenter there. But you are thinking about in the back of your head the whole time, fuck, this could have been David Lynch on the show would have just been I would have lost my goddamn mind. It would have just been the worlds colliding inside of me of John Mulaney and David Lynch sitting on a stage together. I just can't get over how manic this show is. It's something that's so all over the place. It's kind of funny that in the first episode has Jerry Seinfeld, who's actively shitting on the show the entire time while he's on it. He's just actively you're really losing it, buddy. This is a bad job. This is not a good show. But then really funny. It's almost bookended by David Letterman on the second to last episode.
With the blanket.
Yeah. With Lunel. Just the two of them together, snuggling.
Bill Hader.
You're doing a good job here.
Yeah. I love the experts that he brings on. He has a subject matter expert to go along with the theme for each episode, and that just throws a wrench into everything. Is just you're gonna always try to return back to the topic at hand, and that is always hilarious. The times when he tries to do that, when things are just going way off the rails, and it's like, all right, now we have to talk about earthquakes. That's what we're here to do.
The funniest
really
one is in
great.
the last one when they're talking about the future of LA. So they bring on like somebody who's like a curator of the La Brea tar pits, and then like 50 minutes go by and John just basically like, Dr. Emily Lindsay, you haven't talked in 45 minutes. Like, what do you have to say about what's happening right now? Like, just like things of like, they're always just kind of around existing in this mess of a situation together. But it works. It's this beautiful thing that I really love it. It's so telling to me that 2024 was really the year of Netflix being like, can we step into the big boys of like network live TV? And it's so interesting that they have taken out WWE, which they have been kind of dipping their toes in for the last few years between like the I don't want to say like B or C tier fighting, but that's kind of what it is. But we have the Logan Paul Mike Tyson fight, which was like one of the worst television products that I've seen this year. It was like an abomination of an event, and then like elder abuse that we all sat around and watched. But it was undoubtedly
not me. I
we all.
I went to a watch party for it, and I'm not ashamed to admit that we had a good time. I did leave before the Mike Tyson fight, and I was like, yeah, I didn't really miss anything. There's that. There's Everybody's in LA, which is them just being like, can we do our own little version of a, maybe not like a full daily talk show, but like our version of a Last Week Tonight, like some kind of cool alternative talk show. And then they were like, fuck it, we have the NFL on Christmas now. Like we're just going to take the NFL and put it on Netflix on Christmas Day. And this,
the Brady roast was live.
The Brady roast. Yeah, you're right. That's another good one. That's they are fully trying to, they're beyond dipping their toes. This is like soft launching that when the NFL rights come up, they're going to be one of the main suitors. They're going to take, whether it's CBS, whether it's probably going to be Fox, they'll probably take Fox's rights and just be like, the NFC is now on Netflix. Like, come to watch our games through Netflix every Sunday.
This was a really great show.
Huge success. It was a huge success, and a lot of it is the fact that John Mulaney just kind of got away with it.
Yeah, loved people calling in. Loved Mulaney getting a live interview with like the mayor of LA. That was super fun.
These musical performers.
Yeah, all the musical performances were super fun. And then there was a moment I wanted to shout it out where Pete Davidson comes on, and you can just see his real-time realization that he was in the middle of something special and that he had no idea what was going to happen next. Like his glee, his visible glee of like, oh my God, this is like what I wanted from SNL. And not to say that that's not, he didn't get that feeling from SNL, but you know, that live feeling of like, oh my God, anything could happen. We're live on TV right now. Really, really love it. Great pick. It's John Mulaney's Everybody's in LA. It's Hunter's number 7. We are at my number 7, which is, I'm curious if anybody else has watched this show. This might be the first time I get to pop off here. It's Hacks. Anybody watch Hacks? No.
I've not seen Hacks.
I mean, I watched season 1 back when you did, and it was lovely.
This is season 3. We have leveled up heavily. Season 2 found our lovable cast of characters on the road, on tour. And now in the 3rd season, we're gearing up for a shot at basically the Tonight Show, the equivalent of the Tonight Show. And this is kind of what everything's been building up to. This is what the main character played by Jean Smart, Deborah Vance, everything that she's built her career up to. We set this up in season 1, in which she had a shot at this when she was a young woman comedian and didn't get it. And now in her old age, she finally has a real shot at it. So the entire season is sort of structured around that. And there's some other things there. The cast of characters, you know, Hannah Einbinder is obviously here as Ava, who's sort of the other half of this duo. And there's a whole through line there of whether or not they're friends and whether or not they're collaborators. So just a really great sort of standard sitcom premise, but it's blown up to these incredible proportions. Very grand, big show, not globetrotting, but on the road production. It's not just based in Vegas, not just based in LA. Like you kind of get a little bit of everything. And a lot of people have kind of given some level of criticism of this being a show that's incredibly enamored with not just itself and its own, world, but this lifestyle of being a rich, successful star comedian. And there is a little bit of that, but I think that the ensemble, the larger cast, really gives another flip side here. Paul W. Downs is here as Jimmy. He is one of the main creators on the show, one of the main writers. Rosa Adobo is here. Megan Stalter, who's hilarious. She gets a bigger role in this season. Everyone sort of levels up. I think this is the best season of the show so far. I can't wait for season 4. There's so many memorable moments here. I mean, there's needle drops by Parcels. There's, I think her name is Christina Hendricks from Mad Men. The big titty girl from Mad Men is here as a lesbian Republican.
I think her name might be Christina Hendricks. I don't know. I'm always incognito, so it doesn't save.
She plays a Republican lesbian. I mean, what else could you want? There's an appearance by the Tom Cruise coconut cake. Come on, guys. This is good shit. This show is hilarious. It's so good. One of the standout sequences is when Jimmy and Kayla have a fake engagement on an airplane, and everyone on the airplane thinks that they're actually getting engaged. And he's trying to say, like, no, like it's not happening. This is just work. This has nothing to do with us being together. We're not together. We're just coworkers, and nobody wants to believe him. And everyone's just trying to lean in on the fact that they think that they're getting engaged. So, lots of great little situational jokes in here. And, things that if you are somewhat aware of the niche of Hollywood and show business, you'll get a lot out of it. You get a lot of little inside bits here and there. It's sharp. It's hilarious. It's heartfelt. It's somewhat dramatic when it needs to be. It's done this in the first 2 seasons as well, where the conflicts get elevated to such high highs that these actors have to put in like actual dramatic performances to deliver the stakes of the situation. And they do it and they knock it out of the park. I mean, this show won the best Emmy, the Emmy for best comedy this season, which was a huge shocker. Everyone thought that it was going to be like The Bear or something. And it actually went to a real comedy that has real jokes in it. So, not to throw shade at The Bear, like that show too, but this one
you just did.
This one succeeds so well and so consistently and so effortlessly in a way that a show like The Bear didn't quite get to this year. So I really got to reward it. Can't wait for season 4. It's Hacks. It's on Max. Hacks is on Max. And it's season 3. Very, very funny show. It is my number 7. So we're swinging back around to Drew for, I'm going to say your number 6, but
that's right.
There may be some.
Isn't this number
cleanup.
7? Because you replaced one, so this would be your number 7. Is that where we ended up?
Yeah, Drew's like on the back of the snake now.
Drew was at the front, and now he's up the back. Yeah.
Is that right?
I don't know.
Drew, can you just name 6
you're right.
7 more items?
Just say a show.
We'll figure it out.
I did, by the way, just frantically Google when season 2 of The After Party came out. We're good. I did watch that. Didn't come out last year, so don't worry. God forbid I talk about something good. My number whatever is The Golden Bachelorette. It's another bad one, but this is the show I was talking about earlier when I said that was talking about Love is Blind, where this is a show that has a legacy of being so bad for so many years and they accidentally created a better version of it. And it's so fascinating to me that how they fucking like stumbled with their fucking pants down into a show that like has depth. It's so funny. So this is the second season of doing this. The first was the Golden Bachelor. It's just The Bachelor, but old people. And that the biggest reason that adds something to the show is because it adds utility to the show. The show is now serving a purpose for these people. When it's young people, this is just one of 1 million avenues for dating. And in fact, it's the worst one possible for trying to find true love. So you up front have zero sympathy or empathy for anyone on the show. The Golden series, these people actually like don't know how to find a partner. Like they're fucking old people, many of whom have lost their partner, their life partner, are like actively grieving on this show. It actually like it has a reason to exist all of a sudden because these are people that do not know how to date otherwise. So you're getting that they don't have the calculatedness of any of the younger people that go on The Bachelor and are doing it for followers. They are not camera trained, whether by professional work or not. Like anyone who goes on, the younger people who go on these shows, they're not like professional actors, but they're very camera trained because these are the types of people who take a lot of TikToks of themselves. You're getting something a lot more raw here because this is people whose like children sign them up to go on the show because they're like, Dad, I'm worried about you and how lonely you are. Like, I want to help you find love. And the result is really like sometimes pretty fucking gut wrenching.
Yeah.
Because you're still putting them through this ringer of a show that is designed to fail for everyone except for one person. You also get this in like any good season of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, but this is the most like of all time. This is like more than a dating show. This is largely a show about like male companionship, because since it's a bachelorette, it's just a house full of old guys. Obviously, in your old age, one of the things that you lose is like your companions, your friends, your ability to just hang out with people. And they are all of a sudden living in a mansion with like 15 other dudes sharing a very unique experience. So that by the last episode, they're all like sobbing, just talking about how much they love each other.
Oh my God.
It's
you don't
really
see that on many of these.
No, exactly. So it's just so much sweeter and more real and more purposeful that like it's truly impossible to go back to the original. I'm glad that Gen season came first because like I'm upset because I wouldn't have watched it if I had just watched this. I'd be like, oh yeah, this is like actual like humanity, as opposed to.
I think that's like kind of an issue with like a lot of reality TV. Is like after 2 or 3 seasons, people like have a game plan with what they're gonna do. So it might it might be like this is recent, and there's not like old people that are media trained that are getting in on this. This is like I mean that's kind of interesting to see like how long they're gonna keep doing Golden Bachelor and Golden Bachelorette.
They've been massive fucking hits. You're right that like the more calculated people are going to start creeping in now, obviously. But yeah, these are huge hits for them because of everything I just described. I also just realized I did make another mistake in my ordering of things. This is
you say mistake.
Ernie, you can fix this all in post, right? You got this. So
you say mistake. I think the right word is just a little dose of chaos for the pod. Just the chaos agent.
When it gets back around to me, that the next thing I want to talk about is like actually like my number like 8.
Jesus Christ! What the hell?
It's been a long time and worked really hard on this list.
Numbers don't matter. There are.
Why don't you just say it now? Because we're once we close out this round, that's the end of part 1. So.
You're right. I don't want to end on this.
We haven't said our 6 to do top 5.
That's what I'm saying. Like when we close out the rest.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
With the rest of we're on 6. We just entered number 6.
I'll be quick with this. This is my number 8. So this is like an actively bad show that I don't recommend watching at all. This is Love Island UK, which I had never sat through an entire season of. I was watching it with my girlfriend.
Did you vote?
No, we weren't watching it live enough. Because I never watched through a whole season before, about like 15 episodes in, the people on the show kept on being like, yeah, well, it's still early days in the house, still early days. And I was like, babe, what are they talking about early days? Like the season's almost over. She was like, no, there are over 60 episodes per season of this show. Hour-long episodes.
Christ.
Yeah. It's so fun.
Talk about brain rot.
It is literally, you're just getting Stockholm syndrome. Because you're watching people that are abject, like irredeemable souls, but for so long that by the end you're like, I'm gonna miss these guys.
Do you watch this on regular speed, or do you crank it up to like 1.25?
No, I'm not on speed. I'm on smack for this.
Oh, because it's UK. That's good.
It's a horrific show. But again, like the scratch that reality itches for me is like getting an iota of like real human like interaction. Like you can find truth in it. You just like, I almost want to write a book about like how to watch reality TV, because you have to watch it through the lens of the show. An amount of it is going to be fake for that reason. An amount is going to be fake because the people are not able to act natural, even when they should be, because they know the cameras are on. And then beneath all that, you get moments of real truth. And once you sort of adjust like per show to like that ratio, you can really enjoy a lot of these shows moment to moment. This show, the problem is much like Survivor, it's fully been gamed out. Everyone who goes on the show knows way too much about it. And it's really upsetting. They're too trained. They know, they're aware of cameras all the time, and it stinks.
I went really deep into Love Island back in 2020. And like
multiple seasons.
Oh yeah, I think I did like 4.5 or maybe 5.
God,
hell yeah,
yeah. The first season,
it's like the first season of the reality shows.
Yeah, the first season is like honestly pretty great stuff. Like the producers are fucking sadists.
It is like really distilled to like just the torturous parts. They're not giving them anything to do except get mad at each other. They design games with the sole purpose of making everyone mad at each other.
Is there alcohol involved?
Oh, without a doubt.
With all of
these,
encouraged.
There's definitely alcohol. The thing that elevates this above certain shows for me is that it knows it's trash and it's bad. The entire thing is narrated by a comedian, a very, very Scottish comedian, who's doing
I don't like him.
Really. No, he's bad, but
he sucks.
He speaks toward the fact that the show is like, yeah, this sucks. These people suck. Like, you're watching it because you're stupid. Like, enjoy. You know what I mean? And I respect that so much more than a show like Love is Blind trying to be like, this is a grand experiment. No, it's not. It's the same old. It's for our entertainment. The purpose is not love of any of these shows. And so I respect it for that. It is so many fucking episodes.
Was there anybody like particular, like, or any specific horrible thing that the producers did? Like, what was like the worst thing that they did to the contestants?
I mean, the common ones, or at least as far as I can tell it, that they continue to do. They do multiple. There's something called Film Festival that's most of the way through the season, where everyone dresses up like they're going to a film festival, and there's a red carpet, and they sit in front of a projector, and they are shown every single like cheating moment by anyone done in the show. And these are people that are like have formed like basically long-term relationships in this fucking bubble, and then they are forced to watch a clip of like their like truly connected boyfriend saying like, damn, nice tits, like I'd fuck her. And it's like just like true like weeping, screaming type shit goes on after that. It's just a lot of that. It's a lot of like trying so hard to make people cheat.
Jeez.
Yeah, great show.
So
don't watch it.
Love Island
Good
UK.
shit.
So let me get this right. So we bumped out the comedy specials. Those are gone. Number 10 is The Bachelorette. Number 9 is Love Island UK. Number 9 is Love is Blind UK. Number 8 is Love Island UK. Number 7 is Quiet on the Set. Number 6 is The Golden Bachelorette.
How ethnically cultural of you, Drew?
Okay. That's correct, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Drew's like, wait, we're going to get to number 1. He's like, guys, I forgot another good show. I don't know what to do.
All right.
Oh, shit. This would actually be my number 10, Succession.
Oh, finally. You got on it.
No, I didn't.
All right, Dane, number 6.
3 is season 2 of Sex and the City that I watched. And I know it came out 10 years ago.
It's on Netflix now.
I have actually been watching Sex and the City. Dane, go ahead, say your number 6.
My number 6. We're returning to Apple TV, season 2 of Silo.
Okay.
Let's go.
I remember you mentioning this last year as an honorable mention. So now that it made the list, wow, it's a level up.
Yeah. I think I'm just in love with Rebecca Ferguson.
Hell yeah.
I think that's doing like a lot of heavy lifting. And she like it's basically she's like alone with Steve Zahn, a new character in the show. She's like alone with him for most of the season. Like I think the first episode is her, no dialogue, just like entering a new silo, just looking around, solving engineering problems, building a bridge, falling into water. She doesn't know she can swim. It's like really it was like trying to be like highbrow TV with like good acting and stuff. And I think it succeeded in that better than the first season did. That might just be because I realized how much I love Rebecca Ferguson.
She's the best.
Brother, welcome to the party. Hi.
You're glad that she left Mission to make this show. It was all worth it.
Yeah, I like seeing her all grimy, wearing a jumpsuit. She's infected. She's crawling around in the dark. She's getting the bends. It's great. I love it. I love her. And I think the reason the first season didn't quite do it for me and was only like an honorable mention last year is because like it really took me 4 episodes, I think, to decide that I liked it.
There. I think I only watched 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's like the show was like painfully boring, and they're like cycling through characters for the first like couple episodes. Like people are getting introduced and then immediately dying. And it kind of goes on that way until they got to fix the generator, and from that point on, the show was great.
This is like a fucking STEM kid show.
So the premise
you're not
is
gonna
that
trick me.
They're just like they're like in this underground bunker, and they don't know who made the bunker.
What if there was a silo?
Yeah.
I do have bad news for you, Drew. There are realms in this world. Some might say that the whole show is a realm in itself. So
how distracting is it that Common is there?
Ooh, are you like about this?
Are you can you not stop thinking like, is this like a commercial for positivity?
No, he honestly plays such a good like bad guy, and he's not even.
He's like, a bad guy.
He's a bad
guy. In the second season, he's like a little bit less of a bad guy. He's still like an antagonizing force, and I think that's something that the show does really well. Is it all of, with like one exception, basically. All of the characters who are like bad guys, they have reasons for being like that. They're stuck in the same situation as everybody else. Like maybe it's slightly different, but at the end of the day, they're all in the silo. And if like one part of the silo like fucks up and rebels and overthrows everything, that could be bad for other parts of the silo. And so it's got like the political kind of like Game of Thrones. Like it scratches that itch, but it doesn't even have to be like complicated because it's just a silo, right? Yeah. It's a really self-contained world, but
now in season 2 we're outside.
Yeah, and we kind of care. We kind of care a little bit less about the mystery of what the world is. But the entire second season is basically dealing with the aftermath of the first season, and then Rebecca Ferguson and Steve Zahn just like fucking around, making pumps, learning how to swim.
That sounds great. I love Steve Zahn.
That sounds cool. I do love some Steve Zahn.
It's Silo, season 2 on Apple.
So how hard sci-fi is it? Because I've heard like that is a thing where it's like it's pretty hard sci-fi. Like you kind of got to give yourself over to it a little bit.
You ever read City?
It's cool.
You ever read City of Ember?
Yeah, it's just City of Ember, isn't it?
It's just City of Ember. There is like some like light hard sci-fi stuff.
Hard sci-fi.
Yeah,
it sounds better than City of Ember, though. I remember not like loving that book's. I mean, I liked it. It was my shit because young adult.
City of Ember is like YA Silo, and Silo it's based off of a book series.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's based off of the Silo trilogy of novels, Wool, Shift, and Dust.
Did they get a cease and desist from the City of Ember team? Like, hey, you can't do that. You can't have two Silo-based novels.
They're like, I'm sorry, was your set in a fucking silo? Okay, I didn't think so. Ours is right in the title.
It's Silo Season 2. It's Dane's number 6. Hunter, we're at your number 6.
My number 6, I texted Dane before we did the pod, and I was like, there's one that you're going to be mad at me about, that everybody might be mad at me about. But listen, when I'm putting together this list of the best things that I watched on TV this year, I can't not include it on my list. And my number 6, I have the 2024 Summer Olympics. Just as a TV property.
This is a great pick. Yes.
Here's the thing.
What a good time.
This was like to change my list again.
Yeah, fuck that. I want this on my list.
Here's the thing. Like, honestly, like, this is the most fun that I had watching any TV this year. This is the most Olympics I've ever watched. Gotta just give a shout out, maybe for the first time in my entire life, to the country of France, and the good people of Paris,
and Peacock
that put this on, and the cock. And I got to thank
two first time shout outs.
I know.
First time anyone has ever shouted either out.
The Octobox, the quad view on Peacock.
Gold Zone, great shit.
Yeah, Gold Zone with Hansen.
Bringing our boy Scott Hansen in there. Like, I just think that as a television product, it worked. It was compelling. And I was so locked in. It's funny thinking back to how I felt and what I associated with the American flag and the idea of America in July versus how it feels now, given the events that might have happened in the last couple months. But like the highs of, especially, I think watching the gold medal U.S. basketball game is like one of those things I'm never going to forget my entire life. I chanted USA alone in my home. Well, Gaia was there, but I chanted USA at her while Steph Curry went on another fucking plane of human existence and was just calling game time and time again, shooting half-court shots. Was so cool. It was the coolest thing. I can't beat that.
The Serbia game was better, though, I thought, right?
Yeah, I was just about to say.
That was the
it wasn't
quarterfinal.
Just the final. Yeah, it was like
Serbia.
That was the semis. Yeah. Was that the semi? Yeah, that was the
semis, not
game.
Quarter. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was an even better game. I just specifically I thought that I would never see Steph hit that high ever again. It was nuts. It was so great. Nothing was better than like not doing my job at work so that I could just sit there and just be like, quarterfinal of handball is on right now. I'm locked the fuck in. I cannot. Have you seen this fucker from Germany?
Dude,
like, I'm not looking away from this right now.
Ping pong, table tennis. I was so locked in, dude. There were a lot of really good moments.
The what's it called? Pole vaulting.
Oh,
the track and field stuff was
the
awesome.
The guy breaks his record. They're like, "You want to try again?" He's like, "Fuck yeah, I do." Yeah, let's go again. Put it higher.
The guy whose dick got caught on the the high jump,
break dancing.
Oh, break dancing! Yeah, the shooting, the memes of the two shooters, the Japanese girl and then the Turkish guy, I think it was.
Yeah,
his hand in his pocket. Like it was a good time. This is great.
It honestly might be the last great moment of Twitter. Like that might really have just been the thing where I was like, just seeing all of the reactions to things, the memes, all of that shit.
Ending the Australian breakdancer's career in an instant. Just like fully gone, like all hopes.
Just one of the greatest con jobs that we'll ever see. That's the real life Catch Me If You Can. When I say that anybody can con their way into any job, that includes breakdancing for your national team.
I love her.
I mean, good on her. She went to the Olympics. Like,
I think she was awesome. She got to go suck and fuck in the Olympic Village for her country. So
I thought she was like entirely earnest. Like thought that she was good. Like winning. Thought she did a good job. Thought she was there making a good point that like she wasn't as good as at other people. But
then she leaned into it. You know, she kept it moving along, even through all the memes.
And then after the fact, she's like, "Oh yeah, I intentionally I was trying to be bad." So actually, that was it was so cool. I think all the Simone Biles stuff, like everything that
legend, go
Pommel horse.
It's one of those. Like I was never Pommel horse is just rocks. Pommel horse is just fucking cool.
The whole team, the whole gymnastics team.
I wouldn't say that like gymnastics was ever a thing growing up as like a teenage boy. I was like locked in on the Beijing Olympics.
You missed out, dude. I was locked in.
Yeah, same.
Don Johnson, baby. Come on.
Got more into it in like the 2020, which ended up being the 2021 Olympics. And then especially this year, one, because of the Simone Biles and the whole USA team and like everything that was kind of behind that was such a cool story to follow. But also, it's just, there's so many different interesting ideas, sorry, Dane, cover your ears as a former swimmer. Swimming, we can cut half those events.
Say that.
Mixed IM relay fucking rocks.
Okay.
There's some cool ideas in there. Too many goddamn events. Okay. Like there's too many where it's just like, hey, this time I'm going to try and do a stroke that's actually slower than you guys.
Exactly.
But
Hunter,
it's different.
That's right. This is very brave to say, but if there is a stroke that is better than all the other ones, that is from now on the only stroke.
That's what you do. Just do that stroke.
There's only 4 strokes.
It's like if there was like, we do the 100 meter and then the 100 meter crawling.
There's no
you know what I mean? Like no, because we know that fucking running
side stroke.
They should run backwards. They should do a track where they run backwards.
If there's an event that's called freestyle and there's only one stroke you do in that event because it's the best one,
that's the one. It's that, and then also
this is a bad take.
So I'm here for that. I agree with that. That maybe we do keep like butterfly, but it's like, all right, butterfly, you get 200 meter and that's it. Like we don't need a 50, 100, a 200, a 500, 1,000. Like we don't need this many goddamn different things for every single one.
We don't need that many running events. Fuck you. There's only the 50 meter dash. That's it.
Well,
nothing
here's
else.
the
50
thing.
meter dash
Once again,
and
Drew's point,
marathon.
There's only one kind of running. There's only one kind of running. So it's not like we're watching that.
There should be more kinds of running.
There should be skipping.
There's speed walking. Right?
Skipping, galloping, backwards.
I'm picking
walking back with a backstroke.
Actually, that'd be cool. I'm picking on Dave because of former swimmer here. Swimming is not the lowest on the tier. I can cut everything equestrian, but that's just me as a horse hater. Just does absolutely nothing for me. I've seen horse jump over bar. I think I'm good on that as like an event. Archery though, like anything shooting or anything like that, I'm in on. Because usually it's just 1 or 2 events is great. Basketball is always great. 3-on-3. Dane's out here with me watching 3-on-3. I just need us to open up our minds to who we're sending in there for 3-on-3. Because like, just imagine you just like roll out there and it's like, oh my God, it's Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis are just like running a 3-on-3. Or let's just get like the young guys in there and just be like, all right, sorry. And you aren't really getting much playtime on the Olympic team. Well, you're going to lead our 3-on-3 team and just score 21 unanswered points. And just
put them in there.
We're losing if Wembanyama's on France's team.
Oh, it's
that's not fair. You can't get in the paint.
Yeah, it's just
no
like,
layups.
You're
and
done.
then he just gets the ball and just shooting it from half court too. So it's like, cool. I guess this game's like broken now with them. But here's the thing. Even if you want to exclude NBA players, include at least the Big Three, which for all of its faults, the Big Three League started by Joe Johnson that has some former NBA players in it. We can't keep sending Jim or Fredette out there to represent our country anymore. I can't do this with like a bunch of like white dudes who played for BYU 12 years ago. There has to be a better option for who we are representing our country in 3-on-3 basketball. This is our sport, okay?
It doesn't make any sense. I want to apologize for what I said just then about swimming. I just remember that my girlfriend's entire family is swimmers by trade and by history.
Did you walk off camera because you got yelled at? Is that what happened?
Literally, both of her parents are swim coaches.
Oh my God. How dare you? How dare you suggest that we shouldn't have the 4 core strokes that every swimmer learns at a young age?
2024 Olympics, I fell in love with the 1600 meter
running
race. Yes, it is. It's a perfect length where it's not just athleticism, it's also strategy. Because it's like 3 minutes or whatever. So you have to pace yourself, but them pacing themselves is like a dead sprint for anyone normal in the world.
It's not a marathon.
The entire time they were talking about a weird beef between these 2 European guys. And it was so fucking funny. Like these 2 snooty looking fucking Euros. And then in the finals, our boy Cole Hawker, the absolute dweebiest looking guy with a ponytail, comes out of fucking nowhere. That's the race that most feels like watching a horse race, where it's all about your positioning in the lane, and the way like saving yourself for the final lap. It was really compelling.
Yeah, all the track stuff I loved. I loved all the track events. The guys like, what is that? Shock put, like throwing the ball.
Shot put, yeah.
Love that. Shout out to tennis.
That shot put shit was like personal for the Middle Eastern countries. It was like they were like weeping.
Yeah. The Olympics gets really emotional, man. It's intense.
It's one of those things, especially for like smaller, countries that don't necessarily have like as big of a thing. Where I remember there was like that one for shot put. There was I don't remember what the country was, but it was whoever was in the rock climbing, which I don't know if you guys watch the rock climbing events, where you just see these dudes who have just practiced like their entire life to just like go up like 100 feet in the air in like 6.5 seconds. And it is crazy looking and watching them set all of these world records on top of each other. It's great. It's good stuff. It's that I did want to shout out to the diving. Shout out to just a random guy that I sat at a bar with in Boise, Idaho, watching the women's diving finals, and we were just sitting there, just like, this is the most beautiful and incredible thing I've ever seen in my
majestic
life. Yeah, just like watching the most insane things like looping over and over again, and then just no splash, and I'm like, I don't know how physics work anymore. It turns out, like I don't understand science. I give up on all of it.
Shout out to Snoop Dogg. Just doing the work.
Shout out to Colin Jost getting
no, fuck that guy. That
surfing
with surfing.
There's just chickens in the background. He's cut his foot on the first day.
Yeah. Hey, and good job by our boy Scotty Scheffler, representing our fucking country, bringing home the gold for golf. You love to see it. Golf in the Olympics. It's a newer thing. It's fun. I like anytime that we can get actual rivalries in golf, I'm here for. So that was cool. And the pentathlon rocks. And we should have a pentathlon more often, because that's just like the ultimate show of like, we still have gladiator man left in us. Like ooga booga, I do all the sports.
Oh man, this is a great pick. It's the 2024 Summer Olympics. It's Hunter's number 6. It's time for my number 6. Yet another Apple TV Plus entry, and it won't be the last. This is Slow Horses, the Gary Oldman led spy show. What if Mission Impossible, but a bunch of bumbling fools, a bunch of just low life loser spies. It's the best. I watched every season this year leading up to the 4th season. They're cranking these out. What a time when you can get a season of television every year. They already have the 5th one in the can. It's coming soon, later this year. They're already shooting the 6th one right now. Gary Oldman says that he will play Jackson Lamb until he physically cannot, or until they're no longer writing any more scripts for him. He loves this character. He is incredible. He is stinky. He is smelly. There is a pungent scent coming off the screen whenever he is on the screen. And I love it. It's amazing. We also get Jack Lowden in here as the stock Ethan Hunt type, running around doing his best Tom Cruise impression. Kristen Scott Thomas. There's a larger ensemble cast here that comes and goes throughout the series. This latest season centered heavily on Sir Jonathan Pryce as David Cartwright, the Jack Lowden character's grandfather, and sort of him losing his mind a little bit and sort of getting a little dementia, little Alzheimer's early stages. And the story really digs into how that impacts the world of espionage when one of the greats, one of the legends starts to lose it a little bit. What happens? What does that do to this world? It's a really interesting story. And then, as I mentioned before, last time I brought this show up, the great, I almost said Hugh Grant, but it's not Hugh Grant. It is Hugo Weaving. Yes. As the
Hugh,
heavy.
You think his name is Hugh Go Weaving?
Hugh goes weaving.
Hugo Weaving, doing his best, post Matrix villain stock character in here. And it's great. I mean, you love to see it. I don't know if this is my favorite season of the 4. I think maybe I would pick the 3rd season as my favorite, because that one just had like a lot more kind of propulsive energy to it. This one sort of just takes a step back, doesn't try to go too crazy with the fireworks. It's more so fixated on just telling an interesting story with these characters, and continuing to flesh out the world. And that's really all you can ask for one of the best shows on TV. It doesn't have to be this big, flashy, expensive, dragon-fueled extravaganza. It can just be a bunch of guys in an office chatting, and then sometimes there might be a shootout. But you're not there for the shootout. You're there for the chatting. You're there for the character. You're there for the drama. That's what I love about this show. It really takes its time. It doesn't feel rushed, and it also doesn't feel drawn out. It just feels like you're just hanging out with these people, spending time with them, getting to know them, getting to feel for them when they go through these more intense events. So I couldn't recommend it enough. It's only 6 episodes per season. That. And they're short. They are not long. So you can burn through this thing super, super easily. I did leading up to the 4th season. And like I said, 5th one's around the corner. So keep it coming. It is Slow Horses, starring Gary Oldman, the one and only Mank High Rise Up. It's
another sneaky guy.
My number 6.
Mank, a movie that Drew watched at 1.25 speed, unlike Love Island UK, which he did watch on 0.7 speed. Is that correct?
Yeah. Got to slow it down a little bit.
He wanted to see the movies.
You couldn't understand what the fuck they were saying, so you had to slow him down, so you'd articulate
watched
more.
60 hours of like normal. I actually slowed down Love Island UK.
Yeah, because you got to get in there.
You couldn't understand
at 1.5.
Yeah. All right, we'll call part 1 there. That's the first half of our list. Stick around for part 2 as we bring you numbers 1 through 5, the top half of the list. We'll see you there. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.